tune in weeknights at 5:36 and 9 for your news now.
MG Montemayor, covering Temple, McGregor, and all of Central Texas. This is Fox 44 News at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Fox 44 News at 6. I'm MG Montemayor.
And I'm Adam Hooper.
The McLennan County Sheriff's Office announced the arrest of 17 people last month on human trafficking and child exploitation charges. Welcome back. Well, the Senate has now passed its self-imposed deadline of taking action on proposed rules for the upcoming impeachment trial of suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton. Senators will act as jurors on the court of impeachment and will vote on everything ranging from witness and evidence rules to if this trial will be public. Fox 44's Monica Madden explains what they're deliberating and why it might be taking so long. Outside the presence of the jury, McDonough testified that Marks told her he killed April Pease years after she went missing in 2009. The nation's highest court says race can no longer be a factor in admissions in higher education, forcing institutions to look for new ways to achieve diverse student bodies. The group calls themselves the Not So Jazz Band and will be performing the national anthem at the Frisco Rough Riders baseball game in July. Fox 44's PJ Hessner spoke to the young band members ahead of the big day and tells us how they got their start. The capital murder trial of a man accused of killing two of his former high school football teammates began today in the McLennan County 54th District Court. All things Czech, you guys. I'm in the room at the History of West Museum, and this right here is a kroje, so it's traditional Czech attire for girls. We're now in day 2 of the high-profile case in the state of Texas versus Cedric Marks. Michael Swearingen's friend, Corey Cross, took to the stand this afternoon and gave his feedback on Michael and Jenna Scott's last moments. Secret Service is investigating how cocaine was discovered in the West Wing on Sunday in an area that gets a lot of visitors. We begin tonight with an update on a missing Fort Cavazos soldier. Army Specialist Craig Chamberlain is reportedly found alive, according to Virginia Chamberlain, the soldier's mother. That's right. The compromise bill suspends the debt ceiling until January 1st, 2025, after the next presidential election. Fox 44's Hannah Hoover shares what the new bill means for the everyday person. Hannah. And we expected the two men to disagree on many things like abortion, immigration, and law enforcement. And was there anything you heard that might have changed the minds of voters or just moved the needle one way or another? Was there anything you learned about a candidate that you maybe didn't know before, something new you heard? Well, hundreds of wildfires are burning across Canada, and this week all of the smoke is impacting nearly 24 states here in the U.S. Well, 4th of July is just days away, and Central Texas has no drought restrictions for fireworks this year. 4th on the Brazos is kicking off this evening to celebrate our nation's independence. It's been a Waco tradition for over 30 years, and final preparations are still underway. Fox 44's Earl Stoudemire joins us live at Baylor's Touchdown Alley with the sights and sounds. Earl, how's it looking? At least 24 people are hurt after an explosion in a building on Paris's left bank. There you have it. So if you can join us, please sign up. Come out to Legends on October 14th. Come say hello and meet your fellow volunteers as well. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, I am going to do a little shopping. Again, it's 20% give back to the Alzheimer's Association of Waco. Well, Marlin High School's controversial graduation happened tonight. Over 1 month ago, only 5 students were eligible to receive their diplomas. And today, all 38 graduates are set to walk the stage. A new law aims to expand the use of a crucial program that tracks where opioid deaths and overdoses have happened all across Texas. Well, Temple High School's barbecue pitmasters team placed second in its first national championship. The Bell County District Attorney has dropped the criminal charges filed against one man in a 2019 deadly shooting. Zamonte Alves no longer faces an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge in the case that involved the shooting death of 17-year-old Obadiah Bush in February of 2019. Freedom Fest at Fort Cavazos has been in full swing today with throwback artists like Vanilla Ice, who came out to celebrate with the community. Fox 44's Earl Stoudemire joins us live at Phantom Warrior Stadium with an update on tonight's fun. Earl, how's it been out there? This weekend, we had the opportunity to talk with Drew Barrymore as she visited Spring at the Silos and taped segments for her talk show, which airs right here every weekday at 1 in the afternoon. Because it is Women's Month. And what do you say is the theme for this year?
Welcome back. Global pop sensation BTS was at the White House today to promote Asian inclusion and representation. Care to inform us, MG, if maybe a little
dynamite?
Yeah, a little dynamite.
Or
Yeah, go ahead.
Like butter, like criminal undercover.
There we go.
Oh my God,
I didn't think right there. You're leaving me.
I didn't know it was on
There we
TV,
go.
but there we go.
The Bears to defend their national championship.
That's right. And to commemorate their 2021 win, the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum unveiled these two keepsakes this morning. Two more, actually, two made for the Bears when they win it all again this year.
Can they see these? Can you see it? They're gonna yell at me, but I don't care.
It's
Let me get closer to the camera
ornate.
These are pretty cool, right?
If you guys didn't notice, red, white, and blue. We're very patriotic.
We tried our best. Look at this.
We're hoping to celebrate from here. We got to see our version of fireworks from the studio.
I mean, that was still really cool.
It really was.
Yeah, it was
I
nice.
enjoyed it.
It was nice, and even the live pictures that Earl brought us.
Yeah.
From down there, it was great.
It was great. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July. Had plenty of hot dogs, hamburgers, all the fun with family and friends. Thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to check out fox44news.com. That's where it's at. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Happy 4th of July. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we explore a topic that is near and dear to my heart. My late grandfather was a World War II veteran, and I always wished I knew more about what he lived through during that frightening time. On a recent trip to the Philippines, my mother uncovered pieces of his life as a young Filipino soldier, giving me and my family a deeper understanding of how brave he and many others were as they fought for not only their country, but ours. Hey, Mom. Hi. I meet up with my mother to do something years overdue. It centers around this old briefcase that has been sitting in my family's home in the Philippines for decades. And yet, we've never opened it. Inside, something I've been searching for, a better understanding of my grandfather. That's him and my grandmother with my mother Ellen on her wedding day. That's my mom today with her siblings as they uncover clues about their father, Jaime Barria, hidden away since before they were born. He never talked about it, but these photos and documents paint a picture of a frightening time. My grandfather was a World War II hero. What was going through your mind when you guys found it?
We were living with somebody who wasn't just a father, who wasn't just a husband, who wasn't just a brother, but much, much more than that.
She believes he had his reasons for not sharing his experiences with his children.
He wanted to protect us from the realities of war. To your service as a Philippine Scout.
With each piece, we get a clearer picture of what my grandfather lived through when his country was invaded by Japan. We learn that he was a member of the U.S. military's 45th Infantry Regiment, known as the Philippine Scouts, part of General Douglas MacArthur's forces who fought America's first battle of the war. Together, we are discovering not only about my grandfather's life, private first class, but the importance of the unit he was in, arguably the best prepared U.S. Army division at the start of the war. My grandfather grew up in a town called Imus, Cavite.
His family was in the agriculture business. I wouldn't say he got tired of being part of that, but he wanted to learn more and something else outside the horizon where he was.
He and I shared many moments together. That's him on the right, and I'm in the red dress. But never did he talk about the war and all of its atrocities.
It was difficult, extremely difficult on him.
While there were many tragic moments in the Philippines during the war, none worse than the Bataan Death March. Nearly 75,000 starving Allied prisoners were forced to march through a merciless 65-mile stretch. They were beaten, shot, even beheaded at the hands of the Japanese.
General Douglas MacArthur has returned.
Allied forces finally liberated the island nation in July of 1945. But not before Manila was in ruins and over 1 million people in this tiny country were dead. My grandfather was one of the lucky ones, but likely still dealt with the lingering trauma of war for the rest of his life. While this chapter is forever etched in Filipino history, through the lens of American history, this story has vanished. And the contributions of so many Filipino fighters, like my grandfather, have been completely forgotten. That's why this letter we found is so important.
From the White House.
It's from President Harry Truman to my grandfather and other Filipino fighters, thanking them for bravely fighting for the United States of America. In my next story, an effort to put this chapter into American history books. I'll introduce you to a special graphic novel leading that charge to tell the story of the contributions of the brave Filipino World War II fighters. What is the spirit of aloha and what does that mean?
That is our hello, our goodbye, our love, our breath of life. Aloha.
Aloha to you, Tiani Suai. Tiani is the eldest of 5 daughters of the dance group Siva Ori Polynesia. Along with their mother, the Suai sisters are the core of the troupe that was established back in 2016.
For us, it's kind of hard to get away from dancing. We have an ongoing joke. If you're in this family, you're going to dance.
They've now grown to a 40-member extended family, or ohana in Hawaiian. Ohana, why is it so important in the Hawaiian culture?
If you need somebody to lean on, it is going to always be your family forever and always.
This ohana brings the excitement of the islands right to the heart of Central Texas, gracing stages to showcase traditional dance styles from various parts of Polynesia. Like this one from Samoa, the show-stopping Siva Afi, or fire knife dance. Then there's the beautiful and delicate Hawaiian hula. Poetry in motion, where words are embodied with these graceful hand gestures.
We're telling stories with our hands. I'm showing this flower. I'm showing the waves. I'm showing the wind blowing.
And with a totally different vibe, the high-octane Tahitian style, or otea.
You have drum beats, you have upbeat music.
If you notice, it is less about the hands, but rather,
we're also telling a story with our hips now.
And if just watching these performances has gotten you mesmerized, you too can step into their shoes, or rather, their bare feet, as they offer classes for all ages.
We will take any person who is seasoned to the sun.
I took them up on a lesson myself, but first, the ever-important attire.
We call it a lepo'o.
And now that I looked the part,
side, 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 side.
Tiani instructed me through an otea alongside her mom and aunt.
Fasa box. 1, 2.
And it wasn't easy.
Speed, 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 speed.
If you haven't already noticed, this otea requires a lot of stamina and energy. That did feel like a lot. But I did learn it's more than just hitting your marks or perfecting these moves.
Having a smile and it coming from your heart, that is the best performance that you could ever have.
So I'm going to finish my otea lesson here with these ladies. In the meantime, reporting from Colleen, MG Montemayor, Fox 44 News. When looking back at East Waco in the 1950s and 60s, there are few things more iconic than Walker's Auditorium. But it's been so forgotten, not one picture of the renowned building seems to still exist. On this Black History Month, I share why it's a legacy that needs to be preserved. On an East Waco street stands the daughter of a trailblazer. Charlotte Floyd Love is the only child of Herbert Walker, the legendary Waco businessman who opened up the iconic Walker's Auditorium in 1945.
It was an area to where blacks could come and entertain, and he was the only black club in Waco at the time. He built it brick by brick.
Even though there are no pictures of it, remnants of the famous venue are still here. And behind these bricks echoed the music of legends. Ike and Tina and Little Stevie rocked East Waco with their immense talent. But Charlotte tells me there were so many more.
B.B. King was one of my very special ones. Bobby Blue Bland, I enjoyed all of them. Gladys Knight, James Brown.
As we sit in the very house where Charlotte grew up, she explains her dad did not allow her to be at the club to see the acts, but she heard them. And that's why this old red telephone is so special to her.
I had a special line, and he would let me call to the auditorium, and I would lay in the bed and have the phone up to to me sideways like this and listen to the bands perform.
Walker's Auditorium became the epicenter of Black entertainment in Waco. It was magical inside. But outside was a far more sobering reality.
Being, in the middle of what we consider the Jim Crow South.
Charlotte's son, Roderick Floyd, shares the unfairness of the times.
We were not allowed to have business on certain parts of the town or certain areas of our city.
East Waco was one of the few areas where people of color were allowed to live and do business. But segregation didn't stop Herbert from using his entrepreneurial smarts, creating a place so adored it brought Black artists and visitors alike. 1001 Clifton Street became a staple on the Chitlin Circuit, a Jim Crow-era safe space for African-American performers. Right here on Clifton Street is a part of East Waco that was a huge stop on the Chitlin Circuit.
This was one of those main areas where a lot of artists would come to showcase their talent and be able to express themselves freely.
But even as segregation divided the country, a different story developed inside Walker's Auditorium. Walker welcomed people of all colors.
He didn't close the door on anybody.
You never would know that segregation even existed.
But the years have not been kind. The auditorium has disappeared, and Walker's legacy is fading as well, which makes his family sad, but they're still hopeful.
I would like to eventually see a marker or a statue of something of him placed in Waco. He just did some remarkable things in Waco that I think should be given special recognition.
Walker's accomplishments go far beyond the auditorium. Also the owner of a barbecue pit, a taxi cab stand, and apartment buildings, he greatly contributed to Waco's economic growth. There have been efforts made to put up a historical marker, but nothing concrete so far. But maybe that could change with your help. Head over to my story on fox44news.com and let me know what you think.